Oops. G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to the DCS World 2.02 Alpha on the NTTR map. Today we're flying out the Hawk T1A trainer. Now for those of you who haven't been following DCS news closely, the Hawk's due to receive its EFM at the time of making this video within the next 24 hours, and I haven't flown this plane in probably 8 months, so today I've decided to take it out for a spin, throw it around the sky, no combat, just enjoy the playground that is Las Vegas, just a little bit, and get a feel for the flight model again, so when the EFM comes out I've got something good and fresh to compare it to. And this also gives me an opportunity to talk about something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while in regards to DCS, and that is why add trainers in the first place. It's a common question that I see pop up often. One thing you have to remember with DCS is the complexity of full combat aircraft, exactly how difficult they are to model and the kind of research and the modelling time that goes into it. For a perfect example of this, take a look at how long the F-14's been under development at this time. Now I have no doubt that is going to be a fantastic plane when it comes out, but it's also the result of 3 to 4 years of development. A lot of time, research and money goes into developing these modules, the kind of stuff that you would normally see go into the development of a AAA game. Trainers, by comparison, however, are much easier to get hands on flight model data and large amounts of accurate information. They require relatively less research, and while they're still not simple things to model, especially not to DCS levels of fidelity, they are still simpler by comparison, especially when it comes to systems modelling, as trainers by their very nature are kept simple as they are often flown by inexperienced pilots. The other side of things as well is, well, they're just a hell of a lot of fun to fly. Extremely powerful aircraft with an extremely light frame that are designed to be very easy to fly. You can have a lot of fun with these things, but that's not to say that you can't find combat situations for them either. While aircraft like the Hawk T1A and the L-39C will never be at the top of the kill boards on a multiplayer server that has access to all of the modules in DCS, it is worth having a comparison against some of the heritage aircraft of DCS. For example, the performance of the Hawk T1A is actually not a huge amount different to that of the F-86F Sabre, and of course the Hawk has a standard gun sight when it is equipped with a weapon and can be equipped with a 30mm Aiden cannon. While not exactly historically accurate, I have been having a lot of fun setting up dogfights between the L-39C, the Hawk, the F-86 Sabre and the MiG-15 Biz. Even though they're aircraft that seem to sit in a funny place inside of DCS, I'm really happy that they've got them floating around. There aren't many sims that afford the opportunity to fly these machines, especially not still giving them a combat capability. And I imagine from the development standpoint, these things must be great stress balls to develop when you're working on a rather complex module. Anyways, let's see if I can get under these bridges without ripping off my vertical stabilizer this time. One thing I have noticed about the Hawk, it's very twitchy when you're at high speeds at low altitudes. It constantly wants to pull its nose up, which is a bit of a risk when you're trying to do that. Another thing to consider is that those street lights down there, at least some of those are collidable. It doesn't seem to be all of them, or there is an issue with the clipping when you're moving at speed sometimes, but I have hit those before and had my plane tear itself in half, so it's best to try and avoid them. It's actually one of the fun parts of trying to barnstorm around the NTTR map for DCS 2.0, because at least some of that clutter is collidable, as opposed to the standard map for DCS where none of it is. Well, it's not so much the bridges themselves, most of them have enough room to fit a plane through. But it's the clutter around them, trying to slot yourself in amongst all of the clutter in a flight path that will allow you to actually get under the obstacle without taking yourself out on the surrounding environment. It's also worth noting that the vehicles on the road are collidable as well, which can get rather hectic when you go under a bridge and realise there's a truck there. And yes, I have had that happen. More than once, in fact. I think I'll have to up the difficulty level on myself for the next time I do this. Next time I might try and do it at over Mach 1 in the MiG-21. It should be thin enough to fit between the streetlights. Anyways, let's take the Hawk up into a nice high stall. I want to get a good feel for exactly how it handles in this situation, so I can test the same thing in the AFM when it comes out, and then we'll make a run up the main street. The Las Vegas Strip is actually ideal for barnstorming. I've done some low passes in the prop aircraft, and it is possible to get them under the pedestrian bridges. The D9 in particular is just nice and thin and fast enough and easy enough to control at low altitudes that it fits in under the pedestrian bridges just nice. I wouldn't say easy, but nice. But I've never managed to get anything with a jet engine under the bridges. I am thinking about taking the Hawk under sometime soon, but it's not going to be in this video. I actually need to take the Huey out, land it down the main street, and have a look at the space that I have, and whether or not I've got enough room to even get the Hawk in the first place. As you can see, with the streetlights, the heavy traffic, the row of trees down the middle, and the pedestrian bridges being significantly lower than the overpasses on the highway, it's a much tighter pass. The best looking bridges for the pass are these ones here at the end of the dancing fountains, but the problem is, as you go just past them, you notice the road bends away, so you immediately have to start dodging buildings after you go through. Still, we'll save barnstorming the Strip for another day. There is one other place that I'm going to go before the end of this video where we take the plane back to Nellis, and that's actually somewhere that, up until today, I've never gone on NTTR. A quick fly out east from Las Vegas over Lake Las Vegas and out to Las Vegas Bay on the edge of the Colorado River, and then we'll just turn a little bit south, and there we should find Hoover Dam. It's funny, I've had access to this module for months, and I spend more time flying on the NTTR map on DCS 2.0 than I do in DCS 1.5 these days. And yet I spend all my time over near Groom Lake or over the ranges. I've only ever passed over this area once, and that was in a intercept mission in the Mirage 2000. And even that was only because the MiG tried to evade me by running out this way. It wasn't part of the mission flight plan, I just had to chase him down. I really do like those water textures, they've got a good sense of depth to them. And there she is, Hoover Dam. I had to say, when I finally arrived on site here, I was rather surprised by how small she was. I always had the opinion that Hoover Dam was rather massive. After seeing it inside of DCS, I actually went through and checked out some photographs of it myself, and it's nowhere near as big as I originally thought it was. Well, actually I should probably be a little bit more clear on that. It's nowhere near as wide as I thought it was. The pictures that we got down here for Hoover Dam, the way they were photographed made it look like, this was a dam that was half a kilometre wide, but I suppose I shouldn't be too surprised. If you look at the advertising documents for Las Vegas in any of the travel agencies down here in Australia, they're photoshopped so heavily that it looks like every single major casino on the Las Vegas Strip is on the same block. Still, there is a bridge down there, and there was no way known I was going to fly out all this way and not go under it. Having said that, it's not a particularly difficult bridge when you compare it against the overpasses, so this particular one, if I'm going to make this an interesting pass, well, I don't think there's much I'm going to be able to do in the Hawk, but maybe a supersonic dive from over the dam and go under the bridge and try and pull up before hitting the water or the canyon walls. That could be an interesting pass. I probably should have said the main part of this flight was to test the Hawk's current flight model, so I have a nice comparison for the EFM when it comes out, hopefully tomorrow. But I am also going around trying to search out various points around the NTTR map to make a barnstorming obstacle course. And yes, I'm fully aware that DCS is supposed to be all about the combat, but what can I say, I just like having fun in these planes as well. I think there's a lot to be said for that inner 10-year-old that just wants to find a very small place and fly the very fast plane as low to the ground as he possibly can and through that hole. That said, this bridge is definitely going to have to be a supersonic pass. This is... well, there's no challenge to this at all. Damn looks realistic and well modelled though. I might have to bring a Huey back here sometime, but I'll probably do that off camera. Actually, I might bring that back and do that in the same flight where I take the Huey down the main street of the strip and see whether or not there is actually enough space to fit a jet at high speeds under those footbridges. But anyways, that was Hoover Dam, so at this point there's not much else to do. Let's head back to Nellis. And of course, I would hate to break with tradition and actually put this plane down nice and smooth, dead center of the runway, exactly where I wanted it to. So here's another messy Mags landing. I'm actually really starting to get annoyed with myself here. I fly out without hitting record and put the plane down over and over and over again, and I'm dead center exactly where I want to be, and it's a great landing. The second I turn the recording software on, I stuff it up. Completely overshoot exactly where I wanted to touch down, wind up floating for about half the length of the runway, before finally getting the wheels down relatively smoothly, but not quite centered and on the left of the runway rather than dead center. Yeah, sounds about right. Actually, while we're back on the ground, this is actually one area that I'm really hoping the EFM makes some massive improvements to the Hawk. It's one area that I've had a particular dislike for. The aircraft's always taxied fine and moved fine on the ground. The problem is it's moved too fine. It's... well, you can see for yourself. It turns with a precision that it probably shouldn't be capable of at a speed that, again, it probably shouldn't be capable of. It just feels wrong. But I guess in about 24 hours, we'll know for sure. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this quick flight and a couple of low passes in the Hawk around Las Vegas and the NTTR map, and a little visit out to Hoover Dam. I know this video hasn't had any combat in it, but you know, maybe next time we'll put together a bit of a fight between the trainers and the Korean-era fighters. And just for the laugh of it, see who comes out on top. Anyways, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Click like if you do. Subscribe if you want to see more. Fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.